This time we're going to look at the responses to volcanic eruptions. So there are immediate responses, and then there are long-term responses to tectonic hazards such as volcanic eruptions. The immediate responses are what happens before or really soon after a disaster. And then long-term responses happen later on relative to immediate responses. So right after a volcanic eruption happens, the immediate responses, and building on from that, the long-term responses will happen. The two types are immediate and long-term responses. Now let's look at what happens during the immediate responses. So it's really important to respond rapidly to volcanic eruptions to help minimize damage and then to have more success with rescue attempts. Some immediate responses to volcanic eruptions include evacuation. So as soon as an eruption is predicted or happens, many people as possible should be taken away or evacuated from the area. Anyone who can't be evacuated should be rescued because roads or other forms of transport may be blocked. There's also aid. So lots of charities and foreign governments have money and aid workers or other support that they can then send to a nation that's suffered from a disaster. There's also warnings and monitoring. So that any advanced warning signs, as many people as possible should be evacuated. And then these warning systems can be used, such as Google Crisis Response or Facebook's Mark Yourself as Saved, which can help record damage and let people confirm their whereabouts. There's also temporary infrastructure, so people who have been evacuated should then be provided with accommodation, food and water. And these people have been had to move away from their homes so that they'll need basic shelter and things to keep themselves safe. Governments may also have to find temporary supplies of electricity, gas, internet and telephones for the area. So just to give that a quick recap, so the immediate response to volcanic eruptions are evacuation, temporary infrastructure, warnings and monitoring, and aid. So lots of charities and foreign governments have money, aid workers or support they can send to a nation suffering from a disaster. Now let's look at long-term response. So immediate responses are essential, but they're only really part of the puzzle in dealing with a volcanic eruption. For an area to recover fully from an eruption, long-term responses are needed. These responses include relocation, so many people have to move away from an area or choose to move away, and governments can help people do this using resettlement programs. There's also rebuilding of infrastructure, so many areas can be damaged. For example, pyroclastic flows can destroy roads, as well as lava flows can destroy roads, and things like telephone lines and power may be down. So the area that's been damaged may need rebuilding to allow citizens to return to their homes. Infrastructure like transport, electricity and power may need to be rebuilt. The local economy may have suffered as well as a result, so there may be government efforts to rebuild it, such as tax breaks, which are also called subsidies, and encouraging tourists to return might be successful in boosting the economy of an area. So let's have a look. Which of these are long-term responses to volcanic eruptions? Then the options we have are rebuilding infrastructure, evacuation, warnings and monitoring, and aid. So in the long term, rebuilding infrastructure is a long-term response. And now we'll just cover it again, what are the long-term responses to volcanic eruptions. It's improve the local economy, rebuild infrastructure, and relocate people. And this compares to the immediate responses. So these ones happen right at the time. There's evacuation, there's aid, there's temporary infrastructure, and there's warnings and monitoring. And immediate responses are those that happen before or very soon after a volcanic eruption. So I've got a quick question here. Which of the following is an immediate response to volcanic eruptions? And the options we have are relocation, evacuation, improving the local economy, and rebuilding infrastructure. And the immediate response out of these options is the evacuation, because the rest of those are long-term responses. And governments may help people to relocate after using relocation programs or resettlement programs, also known as.